Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Juan Williams, Jesse Waters, said she once took a Keebler elf to the prom. Dana Perino, the 5.
Just one.
The House on the Hill just passed the bill, which seems like a big deal. Still, the media has decided it's been a bad year for Trump. See, as the year ends, the hacks must splice together their annual scorecards. And yes, they confirm Trump did badly. Well, except for ISIS. Getting rid of ISIS, that's a good thing. We destroyed modern-day Nazis. But other than that, it was a bad year for Trump. Except for the judges, Gorsuch, and all those other strong appointments. But anyway, terrible year for Trump. Except for the economy and stock market's on fire. Consumer confidence is soaring. But beyond that, it has been awful. Except for the new energy policy, the approved pipeline, the new drilling, the spread of fracking, gas prices flat as a pancake. But I'm telling you, it's still a bad year. I'd hate to be Trump. He's got no singular achievements. Well, okay, there is that tax bill, which granted has been improved since its first draft. But it's just been a lousy year, except for the improved relations with China and Russia, India, the Saudis, Israel. But it's really been a downer for Donny Boy. Did I leave anything out? Aside from deregulation, ditching the accords, repealing the mandate. Oh, and also driving Eminem nuts. That's kind of awesome. So what's the lesson from Trump's bad year? That when compiling your year-end condemnations of Donald Trump, it's a lot harder than it looks. What started out as evil was downgraded to incompetent, and now looks pretty damn effective. No wonder the media looks so sad, which has now been downgraded to miserable. All right, interesting little fact I learned today, Dana, right after they are actually doing a revote of the bill tomorrow. Why would they revote?
It's just a technical glitch, really, because there are 3 provisions in the GOP tax bill that the Senate can't have voted on. Anyway, basically, they just have to realign the bills, and it's a technical thing. There's no problem. The tax bill.
They got to get the bills in line. Yeah.
Yes. That's all.
All right. Big deal?
I think it is a big deal. This is something that the president's been working really hard on. He's been around the clock and talking to constituents and trying to get support for this. They really were anxious to make sure to get some kind of good legislative accomplishment prior to the close of the year, especially with Christmas and whatnot. So this, to me, I think can only be viewed as a positive. It's definitely steps in the right direction, and he seems to have been able to coalesce some good broad-based support, even from people who haven't traditionally supported him or his legislation in the past. So in that sense, yes. And it's also important because it's one of the main campaign, promises that he made when he went across this country to try to engender support for his movement, for the working men and women that he said were left behind, to say, listen to me, I will give you relief. You will feel it, you will see it, and it will be something that's tangible for your families.
Jesse, I'm going to play you some sound from Nancy Pelosi, and I'd like you to respond to it. Yes.
Do you have to?
Because it's the one thing you hate more than speed metal.
It's a close call.
Let's roll what she felt about the bill.
This is the worst bill to ever come to the floor of the House, with stiff competition for what some of the things they've tried to do. The worst bill in history.
Jesse?
They're all the worst bills, anything the Republicans
Except for
do.
Bill Clinton.
Right, that's true. They love him. I'm going to change my grade. A few weeks ago, on the anniversary of the election, I gave him a B+ on domestic policy. Now with the tax bill, I'm going to A-. Imagine what he'd be doing if the media is 90% negative. It's a big headwind.
And you don't grade on a curve. Right?
I do not. I do not. Only with myself.
Yeah.
So economic optimism right now is through the roof. 5,000-point gain in the Dow for the first year. That's historic. And I think because finally America's getting over the Great Recession hangover. So Trump is like the Gatorade and the bacon, egg, and cheese that we need after a hangover, and it's working. And I want to try your little concept. Now, you always say, what specifically has Trump done to change your actual life? Well, here's an example. I think a third of Americans have 401ks, and the average 401k has about $100,000 in it. Just in the first year alone, the Trump economy would have made you an extra $25,000 for your 401k.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. Not only that, jobs are up, wages are up slightly, gas prices, as you say, are flat, and home ownership is up too. So just safety and security. We're not bringing in all these risky refugees. The ISIS caliphate's destroyed. The border crossings are down, and MS-13 prosecutions are up 89%. And then the social issues, what the liberals love to talk about. Gay marriage is still legal. Abortion is still legal. Medical marijuana, recreational marijuana. The states that had that still have that. So the Trump derangement syndrome, I believe, is self-inflicted. All the fear and loathing that the media pumps up is a scam in order to keep his poll numbers down and to help the Democrats win the midterms. So if you just look around and feel around, Trump has been good for America and Americans, not bad.
Well, Juan, the vast majority are going to get a tax break. That must destroy you inside.
Oh, yeah, it kills me. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. This is so ridiculous. I have no idea even how to listen to you guys anymore. Some days it's just
I know the feeling with you.
Man, it's just unbelievable the way you put lipstick on a pig. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's a great line. Haven't heard that one before.
Because, let's just not view what Juan Williams has to say. Let's think about what the American people have to say.
Okay, go to the polls.
The polls say,
Oh, here we go.
Didn't we just talk about
32% approval for
Guess
Donald
what?
Trump at the end of his
They
first
don't
year.
have to like
you know
him.
what? You don't want to hear that. How
No,
about the
I
tax
can hear
bill?
it.
How about the tax bill, Greg? 55% of Americans oppose it. 66% say it's helping only the wealthy.
Because the media has distorted it.
Oh, yeah.
The vast
let me
majority
tell
are
you-
getting tax
let me
breaks.
tell
How can
what-
you argue
yeah,
that?
Because you know what? You are counting crumbs while the cake is going to the 1%.
$2,500
And then
is
you
crumbs?
say, oh, gee, what's wrong with you,
I guess
little
when you're
people?
rich,
Enjoy your
$2,500
crumbs,
is a
little
crumb.
people. Little people, just eat up and celebrate our dear leader, Donald Trump.
$2,500 is a crumb.
Oh, get out of
At
there.
least they got crumbs.
Let me tell. Oh, yeah, that's a.
They just took the whole
is
cake
that
with
your
Obama.
argument? Your argument is
Obama
at least
just
they
took the
got
whole cake.
crumbs. I can't believe this. At least they
Hey,
got
listen,
crumbs.
a
I hope
crumb is
everybody at
something for a
home-
middle-class
everybody
person,
at
but
home,
for
did you
someone
hear
else,
what
it's
this
a
guy
whole
just
wedge of
said?
cake.
At least you little people got crumbs.
They've been robbing us blind, the
get out
federal
of town.
government, for the
Oh,
last
there you
8
go.
years. Finally, the
You know what?
voters brought in Republicans to give them some of their
Yeah.
hard-earned money back,
Yeah,
and
let me
you
just
don't want
say-
them to have it.
Your condescending attitude towards the American people.
But you're
it's
condescending
being
one.
That's why you're a
The
Trump
middle
guy.
class got savage
yeah.
during the Obama years.
And
Finally, things are starting to
and
look good
finally-
again, and you're not
finally,
liking it.
Let me pick on Kimberly Guilfoyle. Because, Kimberly, you said that Donald
That's
Trump
a
went
fight you're
across
gonna
the
lose.
country.
Yes.
And you said Donald Trump said to the American people, I'm never going to forget you. I'm standing up for the forgotten man and woman in this country, the working class people.
That's what I said.
Oh, and guess what?
What? Guess what?
If this was a populist bill, it is a huge failure even by that standard
The vast
because it
middle
doesn't
class are
help
getting
the
cuts.
working class
Okay,
American.
bottom line, you can say that all you want.
Oh,
you
I'm
can shape
just-
shift your
I'm just
polls.
making stuff up.
Okay.
You are.
Sometimes, yes. But the fact of the matter is it does provide economic relief and tax cuts for the majority of middle-class families. So here's the thing. They're actually going to get this, maybe even early part of next year, be able to feel some of this benefit, and then it's going to be tangible, and then you're going to see the numbers go up in the poll.
Yeah.
If he was worried about polling, and if he thought it was so determinative, then he would have thought that he was never going to win the presidency. He's doing this because it's the right thing to do and because he promised it and he has integrity and he cares about making an economic
Let me
improvement.
just say, he's
and
doing
by
this.
the way, record numbers. Look at the Dow already.
Yeah, but
5,000
Kimberly-
points. Hey, up.
Obama
Record
did better
numbers.
in his first year in terms of the stock market's performance. Obama did better last year in terms of job creation than Trump has done this year. And here's something from Nancy Pelosi, Jesse's favorite.
A lot of credibility.
83% of the benefits of this tax bill go to the top 1%. In fact, 60%
Juan,
go to the
what you call a
0.1%.
crumb might look like a crumb from your lofty perch,
Oh, yes,
multimillionaire
that's it,
Juan
that's
Williams,
it, that's
but
it.
to real hardworking Americans,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more money in their pocketbook.
can't fool
and it's
people.
their money.
Oh,
Yes,
it's their
it's
money.
their
Not
money.
yours,
That's
Juan.
why it's going to the
Not
corporation.
yours.
Oh,
If it's-
no.
by the way, if it's
They
only a
made it.
crumb, why are you so worried about them getting it back? That's what I don't get. The government still needs it. Hey,
You
I want
just
to move
wanna
on
fool people.
because
You don't care that the rich get everything.
yeah, we're
They
evil.
pay all the
We're
taxes.
Rich people are evil. I get it. They
Juan,
pay.
here's Matt.
They pay all the taxes.
If the rich people
They're evil.
pay a lot of the taxes and then there's a tax cut, they get to then proportionally keep more money.
Oh, yes.
Is
You know
that
what-
hard to understand?
You know what the French call this?
Is that hard to
Noblesse
understand?
oblige. You know what that is?
Juan,
That's
we don't speak
condescend-
French in
Oh,
this
that's
country.
right.
You never quote French.
Hey, I
to
want to
me.
get Dan in here, but first I want to get back to the difficulty.
If she can hear anymore,
Yeah,
it's like you need a miracle ear after
That is true. Yeah. The difficulty the media has in framing their year-end stories because of the emotion versus the reality. This is Sarah Sanders going over the achievements today.
Nearly 1.7 million new jobs have been created, and the unemployment rate has fallen to 4.1%, the lowest rate in 17 years. The stock market reached a record high more than 60 times. We finally set up our nation on a path to not only energy independence, but energy dominance. We've seen the lowest level of illegal border crossings on record. Justice Gorsuch was confirmed to the Supreme Court, and this evening, hopefully, upon passage of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the President will have delivered the most significant tax cut in the history of the nation and repealed the Obamacare individual mandate.
So, Dana, a person may not like any of those things, but those things happened. So I think you're seeing in headlines, this is my theory, that people are shifting away from awful to, well, all right, better than expected. The guy actually got some stuff done, which is really hard for people to do.
I think that she makes a compelling closing argument there.
Yeah.
She could do it with a little more joy.
Yes.
I mean, they have a good story to tell.
Yeah.
But there is something strange about the public's mood writ large and what's actually happening on the ground. I actually think that if you were to take this back to the fight between establishment Republicans and the new Trump Republicans, that actually all of those things that you listed, if you're a traditional Republican, you're looking at that and you're like, oh, pretty good. That's pretty good. So I think that the personnel changes that happened sort of in the ninth month, or 8th and 9th month of August and September, have changed things in terms of, I guess, tone and demeanor.
This is an interesting point.
Which I think could help. But there's this lag part, and the other thing is there's something. The firing of James Comey, which leads to the special counsel, which leads to every day talking about Russia thing. That is something that I think is a drag on their ability to tell the other story with joy.
Yeah, but it was what you're talking about. There's an interesting lag between what I hate the phrases establishment Republicans and the pro-Trump Republicans.
But that's how we define it.
Yeah, but you have people. There's a feud going on in National Review right now between Charles Cook and the Jennifer Rubins and David Frums of the world over this, because the hate, Kimberly, for Trump is so strong that they can't actually modify just a little bit and see that they're for a lot of these things that he got done.
Right, because they have just essentially, an inherent bias in terms of they dislike the individual regardless of what they have to proffer, right? And that's the problem. So you have to be able to separate the sender from what you're actually receiving.
Yes.
And look at the tangible benefits of it. But I've actually seen, besides a few kind of like outliers, more of, a coalition supporting the tax benefits and what the president is trying to do. So I find that a little bit more encouraging.
Can I mention just one thing? Can I add just one thing on that, since I was so calm earlier? Just one point. Earlier in the year, you had the fights between Ryan and Trump. That was like every day, like fight Ryan and Trump. So today, what happened on the House tax bill? You had President Trump's number one agenda from his campaign and for the first year of his presidency meet up with Paul Ryan's lifelong career goal. And they actually get it done in that first year. And that is something that they can go home and talk about. But the Democrats are going to go home and talk about it, too. Yeah. And then that, right? I mean, everybody has something to go home and talk about.
Imagine the 2018 elections, because every Republican, either the establishment Republican or people who have shifted Gregory Gutfeld to become Trump Republicans, they're all tied to Trump now. And with this tax bill, every Democrat running next year, 2018, is going to say, oh, you passed this bill for the rich. Oh.
I love that you didn't say guess what there.
Run against the tax bill. I think it's a loser, because if you look at the polling, because you like to cite the polling.
I do.
For the first time in over a decade, majorities say the economy is good or excellent, and a historic record now say the economy will improve the next year. You separate their feelings for Trump and their feelings from the economy. Things are good on the ground.
I got to go, you guys.
You got to help a person before you ask for their vote.
Hey, wages and jobs are up one.
Tavis Smiley, huge mistake, suspending him over sexual harassment allegations. The network says he can't keep his story straight. Next.